So with this mind, let's say this verse together. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanye Juda Zoge Chonamla Chanju Bardo Dani Kyapsu Che Dagi Jinso Kebe Sona Ola Benyu Sanye Jubara Sho Sanye Juda Zoge Chonamla Chanju Bardo Dani Kyapsu Che Dagi Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Ola Benyu Sanye Jubara Sho Sanye Juda Zoge Chonamla Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapso Che, Dage Jinso Kebe Sonamge, Drola Banjir Sanye Rubara Sho. I think it's the next page, essence of the Pandit original mantra. Om Yedavama Eku Prabhavam Edum Tejam Dathagato Yavatat Esham Chayo Niroda Evam Vati Mahashamanaye Svaha Om Yedavama Etu Prabhavam Edum Pesham Tathagato Yavatat Esham Chayo Niroda Evam Vati Mahashamanaye Svaha Om Yedavama Etu Prabhavam Edum Tejam Dathagato Yavatat Esham Chayo Niroda Evam Vati Mahashamanaye Svaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes is well taught by Okay, the best would be when we recite this mantra for yourself every day. I recite it for like minimum like 3 times a day. And we recite this, the meaning is reflected. And as we discussed earlier, that when we say this, when you're on an airplane, when on a train, cars, or when you take a walk in the wilderness, just keep in mind all these trillions of the creatures around you, human beings, animals, insects, Holy Ghost, spirits, God and goddesses, and even the spirits. No doubt the spirits of the air and spirits, they're also as vulnerable, they are as vulnerable as we are. We are so vulnerable. We do not know what will happen to us after, say tomorrow, after tomorrow, after 5 years, where we end up. We never know. We just live in the illusion that, okay, after 5 years I'll do this, after 10 years I'll do this. But in reality, we cannot really predict. We're so vulnerable. So when we can predict accurately, precisely, confidently, is when the inequalities develop. Out of 2 hands, one symbolizing external factors, other symbolizing internal factors. Of the 2, when you depend on the external factors too much, then external factors, the innumerable number, and therefore you cannot predict what's happened to you. Whereas gradually you build your inner qualities stronger, the inner qualities are always with you. You can then predict, you can then conjecture, or you can then calculate that, okay, so now this is what is happening to me, and with a span of time, the confidence of the fearlessness and the joy will reach to this level. You can conjecture on that basis. But if you're heavily dependent on external factors, happiness, the pubs, drinks, drugs, or so whatever. So for example, even including business and so forth, there's nothing wrong in business. There's nothing wrong in whatever you're doing. Say any external things that you're doing, there's nothing wrong, except for the drinks, pubs, and so forth. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong there. And of course, no the corruption and no abuse. Otherwise, you're doing business, jobs. There's nothing wrong. But the thing is that they are still external. So even with, for example, let's say gurus, I have my root guru, and so forth, and there are some places, centers where there's so much emphasis on the root guru, and instantly you come to Dharma center or you come to Dharma, who's your root guru? And you have no clue. Apparently somebody attending this retreat, you go out, somebody says, I attend retreat. And the person asks you, who's your root guru? I have no idea. There's nothing about the root guru. It's about emptiness, bodhicitta, and so forth. Without root guru, nothing. Bodhicitta, emptiness, nothing will work with you. Right? So, and who's your root guru? I have root guru, this. Right? And without root guru, nothing will happen. Right? Then I have to also look for a guru. Then you also become a guru fan. You're getting it? This is where things can go wrong. So, somebody asks, who's your root guru? And then saying that, there's nothing wrong. Somebody asking you who's your root guru, there's nothing wrong. But if the other person comes with the impression that without root guru you have nothing, Buddhism makes no sense to you. If this is how the impression with which the person comes, there's a clear indication that your understanding of Dharma is better than other person's. So, more intelligent person should not be swayed by the foolish people. You're getting it? Sometimes foolish people sway the intelligent people. This is little irony, So in a family, one person is there who is really good, karmically very strong with Dharma, and others are also low and then they are like the crazy people, and the king who is not crazy, they think that the king is crazy. And they also make you crazy. You're getting it? So this is where we need to be really very careful. So with this mind, the point is that it doesn't matter whether who created this paracetamol, who created these tuberculosis medicines, isoniazid, rifampicin, udambudol, and so forth, who created this? It doesn't matter. You have to, first of all, you get to know that this is the medicine for me to heal my tuberculosis. Once you know that, take the medicines, it will help you. Okay, so this is where we have to know the Dharma well, and even the Guru, why I'm saying this external, internal, and the Gurus, external Gurus are there. And external Gurus they are the conventional Gurus. And external Gurus should help you to introduce you to the internal Guru. What is the internal Guru? Internal Guru is the wisdom of emptiness, bodhicitta, and the renunciation. So, what is Guru? Gurus help you, but the external Gurus will not be with you 24/7. So 24/7 you cannot be helped. But once you introduce to the internal Gurus will be with you 24/7. And they will help you forever. So this is where, let's say, in the teachings, you find that the Guru dissolves into your heart, and then you are to view your mind, first the Guru's mind, and the deity's mind, and your mind, they are all inseparable. Meaning that inseparably in the experience of emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness. So this wisdom of emptiness is your wisdom of emptiness, and this will be with you for 24/7. So this guarantee protects you from all the fears of life and guarantees you that you have the infinite happiness. So these are the real Dharma. Not just, I have this root Guru, and you don't do anything, right? And who's your root Guru? I have this root Guru. You have, So you're qualified somewhere. But what are you doing actually? So this is my doctor, and you never take the medicine. And who's your family doctor? He's my family doctor. She's my family doctor. Your family doctor there? You will say, don't know what I have a family doctor. And you're not doing anything. You're not taking any medicines. So what's the point? So take the medicines, whether you have family or not, it doesn't matter. First you have to identify that the medicines are proper, accurate. Once you know that the medicines are that they're proper, accurate, precise medicines, then you start taking it. Otherwise, just guru, it doesn't make any sense. You're getting it? It's like keeping a family doctor, paying the family doctor, and not taking the medicines at all. So what's the point? Okay, so with this in mind, say the Ye Dharma mantra. We recite this for all the beings. And then when you do this, in the process, your bodhicitta is activated. For all the beings, meaning your love and affection. Only when the love and affection is there, then you think of others. Usually I tell people once, these are very important, little digression, but there are many new places, as well as even the seniors. I would say that these things are very important. Once I was in Finland, and I asked my friend that I'll have to go for a little bit of shopping to buy some pens and so forth. What kind of pens? And the person was thinking of a pen for me. No, like a present for the people. Starved, bit of stuff. My friends, some small presents. Then he took me there, and I picked up some pens, and he said that in India you don't have these pens. I said, there are better pens than these. They are better than these pens. Say if this pen costs you $1, in India there are pens varying from $1 to $10 to $100 to $1,000. All varieties are there. Then why don't you buy from India? Look, this is a very important point. I told him. He's also attending my teachings. So he's very serious. He's extremely brilliant. But brilliant people, they need a little bit of fine-tuning. Then I told him that this pen I buy from here may cost $50. In India, I may get a pen for $50. I give it to a person. The person will look at it, and see that made in Mumbai. Right? Made in Mumbai, made in Delhi, or made in Kolkata, somewhere there. Oh, he bought it from somewhere here. Thank you. But if it's just $50, or made in Finland. Oh, this came from Finland. Which means he thought of me when he was in Finland. Made in Mumbai, made in Delhi means he thought of me only when he came to India. When he was in Finland, I was just, what's that? Oh, out of mind, out of sight. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Oh no, he's not outside, out of mind. Out of sight, but I was in his mind. Right? He thought of me when he was in Finland. All this $50, this present doesn't make the difference. What makes the difference is the person feeling that you thought about me when you were far away. That is precious. So this pen, I'm not giving it because the person doesn't have it. The person must have hundreds of pens, more expensive pens. Perhaps what is that? Mont Blanc. These very expensive pens, they might have these pens. And this pen is just nothing. It'll break in 1 week, 2 weeks time. But this gives such a joy, so profound joy, that, Geshe thought of me when he was in Finland. That is precious, not the pen. But this pen is symbolic of that. Okay. So likewise, it's the thought that all the sentient beings here in Thosamling, or when you're in an airplane, just see how many, the millions of people are covered under this your view. And under the sea, how many trillions and trillions of creatures are there. Just pray for them, hear their own mantra, pray for them. Okay, this is very important. With this mind, finally, the point is that say we have to grow in your compassion, and we have to grow in your wisdom. And one thing which is common to both is that desire to grow. Desire to grow. This is so precious, so precious. And if possible, in this life, try to create this tendency in your mind, desire to learn more, desire to grow in your compassion, desire to grow in wisdom. So this desire will somehow make you connect with the teachings, more teachings. And then you see, say for example, someone passing by, and then they're smiling at somebody else, extending help. Just watch it, and instant, because you have the desire to grow. Wow, that's amazing. This is not my natural reaction, but it is her natural reaction. Look, so kind. It is his natural reaction, so kind. Wow, I must learn from this person. So this naturally, it comes to you, I must learn. Whereas somebody's being very kind. Do you know that person? If you don't know, why are you overdoing? You know? So these are all negative things, which means that you don't have this proclivity. You have not actually created these proclivities in the past, from the past. The desire to learn, desire to grow yourself. So this is so. In this life, we have to create all. We have to take the opportunity. Particularly, say His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We're breathing the same air as His Holiness. And His Holiness, look at how much he inspires all of us to study, bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, and so forth, and then practice, grow in your compassion. So, if you actually do that, and then some people always sitting for retreat, meaning, say personal retreat, and then after like 10, 20, 30, 10 years, 20 years of being in retreat here, there, and so forth, when you meet, so about compassion, about the wisdom, and person is so easily irritable, right? Okay, so now is my time for my personal practice. So please leave me. If this is your attitude, last 10 years of retreat, last 15 years of retreat doesn't make any sense. You have not grown anything. So this the indication. Finally, that there should be some growth there. For example, by doing business, your capital is, let's say $1,000 or let's say $10,000. You do business. After 10 years, what's the total? Again, $10,000. You have wasted 10 years. The purpose of business is to grow your wealth. Wealth is not growth. Purpose of your existence is not for food. You should not live for food. We have to live. We have to have the food to live, to survive, to grow. So we must create this tendency within us that I must keep growing. Grow what? Grow in your fearlessness and grow in your joy. So as you grow older, age 20, 30, 40, 50, and by the time you reach age 30, age 40 is very quick. By the time you reach 40, age 50 is like snap a finger. And when you reach age 50, then the time for life, 60, I'm just right at the door of 60, because you have 50 years of experience. For who is like 20, 30, still very long, because you have only 20 years of experience. With 20 years, another 10 is half of one experience. Still I have half of one experience. But when you're 50, 10 is nothing. It's 1/5 of our experience. Next 10, 60, it's just knocking the door. And 70, knocking the door. For somebody in 20s, if I tell you those in 20s, when you become 40, oh, what he's talking is far away. But somebody who's in 50s, 60, it's just knocking the door. 70, knocking the door. 70 means what? 20 years. For somebody in 20, 40 years is 20 years. And for some 50, 70 is 20 years. Same 20 years, but for those in 20s would think that it's far away. Those in 50s will say, knock on the door. because of the difference in the number of the years of experience. Okay, with this in mind, the point is that we must learn, okay, we have to grow in your fearlessness and infinite happiness. The fearlessness growth is given to you by the wisdom of emptiness. And the infinite happiness growth to you is given by your universal compassion, bodhicitta. We have to grow in these two things. And to grow in these two things, not only in this life, in the future lifetimes, that this continuous happens, is that the desire to grow. This tendency must be left in this life. Desire to grow. Okay, so with this in mind, let's turn to page 50. Page 50, this is reciting the Dharma mantra for all the beings. Likewise, we can recite these 3 verses to generate bodhicitta within yourself. And I'm going to quickly explain from tomorrow morning, we're going to meet at, 6:30. 6:30, so that we can do the morning practice a little more in detail. And then because this is just about 4 or 5 days now, 4 days from tomorrow, then the 4 or 3 days. Only about 3 days. So we have only 3 days. And then, we will take the aspiration bodhisattva from tomorrow, and these 3 verses will be used. And we have to know the meanings. And so once we do what we're doing here, it's not that because this is a retreat you have to do this. No, it's for all of us to learn. For all of us to learn. And finally, that as you grow older, that, okay, at least I've been doing something from last 5 years, 10 years till now. What growth took place in me, what growth, which means there should be something consistently that I've been doing. What I've been doing, okay, I've been doing this practice. Either mantra, the 4 seals, and then the 3 verses of bodhicitta, and the emptiness. In the end, we're going to learn how to practice emptiness in a simple way. It's like a small key, and then later on, we need to expand it further. So, these things, we are doing these things in order that we learn, each one of you, including those who are very young, in your 20s, for you to learn how to extract a meaning out of life. And believe it or not, if you learn these things so well, when you go out from this retreat, you will meet any other people, those who are really learned people. When you talk about these essence of the practice which I'm going to share with you, these teachers will be extremely happy, right? You just got the right thing. And those who are not really learned, they'll be fascinated to see that this is what we've been learning for the last many years, and even though they're very young, they already have the basic structure. They'll be so good. And then you, knowing these are the infrastructure of this spiritual growth, and then if you get a little bit of confidence in what you're doing, what you learn from here, when you get confidence, when you go out, when you meet with other people who said I've been with Dhamma for the last 10 years, 20 years, so forth, when you interact with them, then you may feel that, okay, their knowledge is so low. They've been following more blindly. You're getting it? Then you will find joy that what I've been doing is just the right thing for me, and so rare to see that people are actually growing in this direction. Right? They're just beating on the bush, doing this, so forth, actually nothing at hand. Okay, so with this in mind, the 3 verses, I'm going to quickly explain the first verse. And we're going to use these 3 verses the next 3 days. So what we're doing here is that it's a journey. I'm going to keep growing. Growing means grow from very basic to a more advanced. This is a journey. There's external journey and internal journey. And what you're doing here is not external journey, it is the mental journey. And what is that mental journey? What is the goal that you're expecting? To awaken the seed of perfection. To reach the goal. 2 goals. What are they? Fearlessness and infinite happiness. Technically known as Nirvana and Buddhahood. Very good. These are two goals. And so these two goals are the destinations. And where I am is samsara. From here I have to move there. Not externally, but mentally I have to move. So it's a mental journey. And the road of the journey is your mind. Your mind is the road of the journey. So for a journey, the road must be very clear. If the road is blocked by trees, fallen trees, blocks and so forth, then you cannot undertake the journey. You agree? Good. So the first thing, for a smooth journey, the road must be very clear. So what is that road? Your own mind. Your mind must be freed of the mental negativities, mental defilements. You have to remove these mental defilements, negativities. Okay. So let's say that the road is very clear now. The fallen trees, rocks, they're all cleared now. The road is very clear. Now what? You have to move in your car. And your car doesn't have a fuel. The car doesn't have gasoline or fuel. Again, you cannot go. So the car is none other than your own mind. This mind should have the fuel, enough fuel of merit accumulation, virtue accumulation. You getting it? So, this is the thing. Then the next is, okay, first of all, this journey, there's many of you came from all the way from your own places to Dilshad. You came from where? Dilshad. Dilshad came from where? Where did you come from? Dilshad? From Bangalore or from where? From Hyderabad. So Dilshad came from Hyderabad, and Sharon came from Mauritius, and Pierre came from America. Anyone else? He came from? Netherlands. Holland. Netherlands. Okay. So they say that these are the various journeys. And the journey of enlightenment, which is the most time-taking journey and most challenging journey of enlightenment. So, for a journey, particularly which involves long time, long duration, and difficult, we must have a great support. And greatest of the support that you can think of in this universe are the Triple Gem, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. So the first line says, I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. It's not just randomly written, there's a reason there. Say, I'm going to take a journey of enlightenment, which is this is a journey which I've never undertaken. Therefore, I need a great support. It takes a long time. I need a great support. And greatest support is the Triple Gem. Please support me along this journey towards enlightenment. I'll go for refuge to Triple Gem. Okay, so this journey involves a road. A road must not be blocked by the trees, fallen trees, rocks and so forth. Your road must be clear. So, road is none. Is a metaphor. The road is your own mind. Your mind must be freed of the boulders, fallen trees, the rocks and so forth. So, how to remove these? What are these metal? These are mental defilements. We have to remove these mental defilements so that your journey is smooth. So, how to remove the mental defilements? One of the most effective ways is to confess the negativities. Second line says, confess the negativities individually. That is to clear the road of your journey. Now the road is very clear, but if a car doesn't have the fuel, again you cannot undertake the journey. So the car should have enough fuel. What is this car? Your own mind. Your mind should have enough fuel of the virtues, enough fuel of the merits. So how most effectively we can accumulate merit within a short span of time is by rejoicing in the virtues and the merits of other beings. Third line says, I rejoice in the virtues of the beings. Okay, now you have a great support. The road is very clear and your car has enough fuel. What kind of journey are you going to undertake? Journey of enlightenment, Buddhahood. The fourth line says, I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Getting it? Okay, this is the first verse. Okay, we'll say this together 3 times. Wholeheartedly. Imagine all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas there, and your two parents, your children, all demon ascension beings are with you. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious. Refuge to the triple gem. Okay. So next, the next two verses are again extremely important. These are extracted from Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, chapter 3. So what it says is that you're invoking gurus, buddhas, and bodhisattvas to just pay heed to what you're doing. You're taking the spiritual Buddhism vow. And the first verse is related to, when you say I'm looking for the fearlessness and infinite happiness for myself and for all the beings. So in the history of the humanity, is there anybody who did it, who succeeded in doing this? Looking back in the history of humanity, we see that 2,500 years ago, there was one prince, Prince Siddhartha. He succeeded in that. And how did he succeed? How did he succeed? On the basis, for two reasons. The first one is he generated a very strong motivation of bodhicitta. Very strong generation of the motivation of bodhicitta. This is the cultivating the spirit to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Number two, that having generated this bodhicitta, to materialize this aspiration. Bodhicitta is just aspiration. May I become Buddha, just is aspiration. So when you say that, they say that may I become a Nobel laureate in physics, right? When you say may I become a Nobel laureate in physics, you always end up in pubs. You know what pubs is? Younger ones, you don't know. Know it, don't go there. Is what?
Bars.
It's bars, where you drink and then you end up in a ditch. Don't go there. Know this. Know this, don't go there. Okay, so, what was I saying? Aspiration bodhicitta?
Yeah, and I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. So this Prince Siddhartha, having generated this bodhicitta, so bodhicitta, what is bodhicitta? Bodhicitta is just aspiration. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. May I become Nobel laureate in physics. And then you always end up in pubs, which means that you are not serious. Your aspiration is just fake. It's not serious. So Prince Siddhartha, he generated this very strong aspiration. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So aspiration means, how do you know that he is serious or not serious? How do you know that? What the person does. You're getting it? May I become a Nobel laureate in physics and end up in pubs means the person is not serious. But this Prince Siddhartha, he's too extremely serious. He left the palace. He left all the luxuries behind. Just went barefooted. And just fed himself on the fruits and so forth. Just giving up all the luxurious, delicious meals in the kingdom, in the palace. So this is what he did. And then what he actually did was that he engaged in the practices to make the goal of enlightenment closer and closer and closer. What are the practices? 6 perfections. First, generated bodhicitta. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. This aspiration. To materialize this aspiration, then he engaged he plunged into the bodhisattva practices. 6 perfections. Perfection of generosity, ethics, patience, perseverance or enthusiasm, meditative concentration, and wisdom. These are 6 perfections, plus 4 perfections. Skillfulness, aspirational prayers, power, and discriminatory wisdom. or primordial wisdom. Let me repeat it. Additional 4, 6 plus 4. 6 is very common. Generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, meditative concentration, and the wisdom. Plus 4, 4 perfections. Skillfulness, aspirational prayers, the power, and primordial wisdom or discriminatory wisdom. Some of you may be wondering, what is the difference between the two wisdoms, number 6 and number 10? Number 6 is wisdom, professional wisdom, and number 10 is professional in the primordial wisdom. So what is the difference? The first one, number 6, is the wisdom related to the ultimate reality. And then number 10, wisdom related to the conventional reality. This is according to what Lama Tsongkhapa explained. Okay, so the first was we are looking for a role model for this journey of enlightenment. And we found Prince Siddhartha as a role model. So what he did, role model means from whom we are going to mimic, we learn from him. So what did he do? 2 things. First, he generated a very strong bodhicitta, aspiration. And second, to materialize this aspiration, he engaged in the bodhisattva practices like 6 perfections and 4 perfections. So this is how he succeeded. The next verse. If this is how he succeeded, I will follow his footsteps. I will also generate very strong bodhicitta, and I will also engage to materialize this aspiration. I will engage in the bodhisattva practices, 6 perfections and 4 perfections. Okay, ready? We'll say this together, the 2 verses. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as the successors dwell in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as their successors dwell in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and I shall do successfully dwell in the bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be heed to me. Just previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and otherwise shall I do successfully dwell in the bodhisattva practices. Okay, good. So if we can reflect on these 3 verses every day and on the meanings, and of course to be accompanied by the bodhicitta practice, the 2 methods. And these 2 methods we can alternate. But if you have time, and not all the time you have the energy to do that, then you can do both the methods every day. But if you don't have time, say you are a student or you have some responsibilities and so forth, then you can do the alternate between the 2 methods. Today you do the first method, next day the second, and then the third. Just alternate between the 2. In fact, the thing is that we have to do something on a daily basis. And these two methods, if you're very serious, and no doubt, when you do that, over time it can become like, sometimes it can become mechanical. That you follow steps, but feelings are not generated. Meaning that, otherwise sometimes you think you feel like crying. Say when you feel your love and affection expanding, you will feel tickling sensations of the body, goosebumps, and the cold wave flowing through the body. You will feel these things, and at one point it becomes nothing. It becomes too mechanical. Nothing's really going. No feelings coming. So when such things happen, then it's time for you to read books on bodhicitta. For example, like say the words of my perfect teacher by Patu Rinpoche, and likewise The Ornament of Liberation by Tapulache, which is the Gompa. And therefore some reading, and then, okay, number one, for some who are intellectual, who are more rational, and for some who initially reading these books like Wisdom of Perfect Teacher, very strong emotions, very strong emotions arise within you, and that happens, and then you read the second time, third and fourth time, then nothing happens. These things can happen. If that happens, then you can swap the books, from one to the second, like this, and then don't just leave the book altogether. So sometimes it is our, say, the incapabilities that we cannot reap the maximum benefit of from the particular book, and you may see that it's so. Initially, it may be very effective, and later on, it may become so. And then, say, you can move to like Lama Tsongkhapa's book, second volume, the great treatise on the stages of the path of enlightenment. The great treatise on the stages of the path of enlightenment. Lamrim, second volume in English. Lamrim, second volume in English. You read it, and sometimes where you get stuck, particularly with the practice of bodhicitta, where you get stuck, you don't progress any further, you can see that all these are identified there. Lama Tsongkhapa's book. So in other words, you for the bodhicitta, like Lama Tsongkhapa's book, Zapati Rinpoche's book, the Wisdom of Perfect Teacher, then the Gompa Rinpoche's book, the Ornament of Liberation, and so forth. You can refer to these books, and then still it continues to be mechanical and nothing is really progressing. Never give up. You have to meet teachers, living teachers, who you see as someone who is practicing this for a long time. You must meet the teachers. Okay. And it's not that the teachers with big names should be, better. It's not sure. So sometimes somebody accomplished teachers, but you may not click. So you have to look for somebody. It doesn't matter with names or without names. It doesn't matter. Even if somebody who is like 20 or 30 years old in a monastery, or by themselves, and you see that person is really practicing it, and you ask the questions, and from the answer that you get, if you feel so convinced, means the person is practicing. So the point is that in some cases, even if the teacher is so accomplished, but the individual may not click. In some cases, the teacher may not have any name, still you can click so well. So the person, finally, you have to benefit it. And finally, it's not external teacher. Your growth should be taking place. So whatever helps you to make the growth happen, go for that. That is your teacher. Okay. So this is to be done on a daily basis. And if you do that on a daily basis, then finally, say we keep growing older. That's a fact. And when I just visited 2 days ago, when I visited my former school, I could so well remember the past memories just came so flashing in my mind. When I was like 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, all these places, my classmates, I could see them so clear in my mind. Now what? 30 years finished, gone, like at the split of a second. And likewise for those of you in your 20s, one day there'll be time. Oh, many, perhaps 30 years ago, I attended a retreat in Thosamling, and there's one teacher that he said like this, that's very true, now it's 30 years old, relapsed, finished. Okay, so the thing is that if you don't practice, 30 years will lapse. If you practice, 30 years will go, right? But if you practice or not practice, 30 years will go. If you practice, 30 years will go, it'll take a long time, right? If you don't practice, then time will remain stagnant. It'll remain fixed and wait for you. If you practice, then so much time will be wasted. No, whether practice or not practice, in both cases 10 years, 20 years, 30 years go. And then with practice, after 20 years, you have something to feel happy about. I have something in my hand. Now I could see the growth in myself. So when I talk to other people, when I talk to younger people, the younger people can get it. They feel inspired when they talk to me. When I talk to them, they feel inspired. Whereas if you don't do anything, after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you may become a little more skilled in the mundane handling, how to be a little cunning. Somebody who is who's not really nice, how to tackle this person, right? You may acquire that skill. Besides this, how to tackle this person out of compassion. This will not develop. So, the point is that, let us not waste our time. This is my the appeal, message. Let us not waste our time. 20 years, don't think that another 20 years is so far away. It'll be just, believe it or not, it'll be like a split of a second. Okay, good. So these practices, particularly the two methods, 4 things to keep in mind in your life, in our life, my life, your life. If possible, in a day. Say initially start with like 10 minutes of practice. Practice something, 10 minutes. So what I was saying is that a little bit of breathing meditation, and from tomorrow we'll do that. A little bit of breathing meditation, like 5 minutes, or let's say 1.5 minutes. 21 cycles of breathing corresponds to 1.5 minutes. So 21 cycles of breathing. And then, beginning with the Refusion Bodhicitta verse. And then the 21 cycles of breathing. Then Ye Dharma mantra, 3 times, Ye Dharma mantra. Followed by the 4 verses, 4 seals. So, Ye Dharma mantra, 4 seals combined together is the practice as a part of your renunciation practice. Ye Dharma mantra and 4 seals. If you get time, still spend more time, reflect on each of these 4 lines. If not, just recite it gradually, and even if the superficial meaning comes to your mind, is fine. Then next, bodhicitta. If you get, once you know how to practice bodhicitta, these 2 methods so well, then do these methods. Either you alternate between the 2 methods, or you do both together, one of the other. I do both together. But simply because I do, if you can do that, why not me? I can also do that. Right? We should be very realistic. And initially just see how realistic it is. Initially, if you're over enthusiastic, this is an indication that you may stop the practice altogether. Over enthusiasm meaning that you feel tired, and next time it's time for your practice. Say the morning practice you begin at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Okay, so 5 to 6. 5 to 6 means, still I have 5 minutes. When you say still I have 5 minutes means you're not keen in practice. You're tired. It's already 6 now. Okay, let me wait for 5 minutes. Let me do that after 5 minutes. Which means enthusiasm is declining. You getting it? Why this enthusiasm is declining? Not because you're bad. Because that early experience, you were tired. You overdid. You were involved in overdoing. You overexerted yourself. So that tiredness is there, you didn't notice it, but it left an imprint in your mind. Now this imprint is activating within you of the tiredness. And tiredness, nobody wants to do it. So you tend to procrastinate, delay it. And then after, yesterday I did it at the 6:05. So I'll do it maybe at 6:10. And gradually it'll disappear altogether. Right? So the point is that don't be over enthusiastic. Start small, simply because I do the 2 methods together every day doesn't mean that you have to do it. Right? Start small, later on you can do it. later on do it, or it is your personal practice or your personal experience. Okay. So, and initially, before you learn these methods, then you can do these 3 verses for the bodhicitta. And then, following that, maybe 2 or 3 verses, additional verses for wisdom of emptiness. So we have single point of meditation, which is the breathing meditation for 1.5 minutes. Then the renunciation, Dharma mantra and the 4 seals. Then the bodhicitta, the 3 verses, and the emptiness, another 2 or 3 verses. That's it. Totally, it'll take you less than 10 minutes. And then you are ready for your whatever, your schooling, your studies, your whatever, your job, whatever, you are ready for that. So, your Dhamma practice for 1 day is done. Then in the evening, if you feel like doing, you do a little bit of mantra recitations, and getting up, make prostrations. Before you go to bed, make 3 prostrations. Make it a habit. Make it a habit. Okay. So this is what we're doing here. I'm spending so much time on all these small details, is for us to build a habit, build some kind of practice manual for yourself to be practiced on a daily basis. And that start small, don't be overly enthusiastic. Oh, this is so good, I want to just stop everything, I want to do my Dhamma practice, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. If you start like this, very soon you will stop the Dhamma practice altogether. So start small. Small meaning like 10 minutes a day. And be consistent. See if you can be consistent 10 minutes a day for the next 1 month. If you're consistent, you can extend it to like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And then if you can be consistent for like 20 minutes a year, or 6 months, 8 months, then you can make it like 45 minutes or 1 hour. And then stay in this practice for 1 hour. So it can fluctuate. Sometimes when you have more time, it can be 1.5 hours. When you have less time, it can be half an hour. Don't be too rigid, 1 hour, 1 hour. Like range between half an hour to 1.5 hours. So, but consistency is very important. For enthusiasm, there are 2 kinds. Enthusiasm of consistency and the enthusiasm of rigor. There are 2. Enthusiasm of consistency and enthusiasm of rigor. Initially focus on the enthusiasm of consistency, not the rigor. Enthusiasm consistency in Tibetan known as tagjur. Enthusiasm consistency is known as tagjur. And enthusiasm rigor is known as kujur. Kujur and tagjur. Thosamling's term is very complicated. Nowadays they have simpler terms, user-friendly terms. It doesn't go in the air. Or they may be the other ones, and then the Thapana forgot to bring he wanted to test me, test my patience. Okay. Yesterday, where did we leave? Anybody who can remind me where we left last time? Yesterday. Third seal. What's the third seal? Everything is a nature of emptiness and selflessness. Okay. Yesterday, did we do the group discussion? Yes. And how was the group discussion? You liked it?
Very fruitful.
Very fruitful. What about the younger ones? Newcomers? You liked it? You liked it? Are you sure you liked it? Are you sure? Good. Okay, Bimasila, you liked it? Are you sure? Okay, good. So what we said yesterday was that the first, all composite things are impermanent. That what is composed of directionally, what composed of parts like directional parts and temporal parts, they should necessarily be impermanent. And impermanence there are two: gross impermanence and subtle impermanence. Gross impermanence is an impermanent phenomenon whose continuum comes to an end, like our death, impermanence of death. Impermanence of 2022 is already gone. Impermanence of our youth, already gone. So likewise, anything, and what the how Milarepa narrated, that when this house was exotic, the owner was not here. When the owner came, the house is broken down. Even if the two come together in a great harmony, there's no meaning, there's no benefit, there's no purpose coming out of this meeting. Better it is for me to leave for Dhamma practice. So remember these are impermanent with so much of advice, message for us. And what the Buddha taught, all what gathers disperses. All what is accumulated is exhausted. And all what is born dies. Impermanence. So these are so important for us to remember the gross impermanence. So important. When we reflect on this more, and particularly in time and space, not just, okay, my this, my that. Say, in the past, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 0.3 million years ago, the Homo sapiens came into existence. 4 billion years ago, our first ancestor, the unicellular organism, came into existence. You go back in time, then you see what is today is so insignificant, so tiny in time. And then you go in space, expanse of space, the planet Earth. Now scientists, they're exploring the Mars, Pluto. Then they go into the Milky Way galaxy. And in comparison with what the Milky Way galaxy is, our planet Earth is like a tiny dot in the eyes of the Milky Way galaxy. And the Milky Way galaxy itself is a tiny dot in the clusters of the galaxies. It's just a tiny dot. So in space, we see that what we are here is like a tiny dot. So in space and in time, if we can think of ourselves in the context of this incredibly, say, the long duration of time, like 15 billion years in the past and 15 billion years in the future. In space, what's happening here in planet Earth, Milky Way galaxy, and in the visible universe, and in the whole entire universe, what we are here, is extremely insignificant, tiny thing. So, from this we see that all composite things impermanent is extreme, amazingly great summary which the Buddha drew. All composite things impermanent. This is what the Buddha drew as a summary of the reality of composite phenomena. And then all contaminated things are suffering nature. From this impermanence, we think about the impermanence of the death of ourselves, impermanence death of the near and dear ones, and so forth. And then your mind will become more realistic. Then you will know how to streamline your life rather than just fantasizing with so many things and actually getting nowhere. To streamline your life and say, okay, finally, this is what actually helped me, right? Otherwise, people would say that, what are you doing? I went to Thosamling. What for? Retreat. You're too young. Retreat is not for you, for the elders, for those in 50s, 60s. Not for you, you're too young, right? So, huh? Oh. Thank you. So, the point is that so where, no matter what other people are saying, right? Physically, you may be younger. Other person may be older. Maybe 40, 50s, 60s. Usually those in 40, 50s, 60s, when their time of this life is almost over, they are the ones to tell you that you are too young, right? So Dharma, you can do Dharma later, right? And so therefore, age-wise you are younger, others are elder. But in reality, if you know how to streamline your life, you are elder in your experience, in your knowledge, than who is age-wise seen as older. They are younger. They are small children-like. You're getting it? So you should not be swayed by these. You need to know, seeing the things. Who is wise people? Who is a wise person? Who is an unwise person? There are so many ways to see that, demarcate. Who's wise, who's not wise. One way is saying, somebody who can see things broader in time and space, they are wise people. Somebody who can see only today, only your place, you can, no idea about, you never think about the reality in the great expanse of time, great expanse of space. These are the small children like. It's not about your age, it's about your maturity, mental maturity. So those who can see far away in time and space, these people are very grounded and stable. And these people can streamline their life to make sure that what you're doing is meaningful and purposeful. Whereas those people who do not see things from broader and the further away in time and space, they cannot streamline their life. They say that we have to have fun. Life, don't make life boring. They will talk like this. These are small children. Age-wise, they may be older, but in reality, mentally, they are very small children. Right? Small children. How many of you, when you were age 5, 6, 7, you told you complete your mother and father, until go to school, I want to play. Keep playing at home. Listens? Yes. And your parents somehow persuaded you. Maybe sometimes slap, sometimes give you chocolate. Persuaded you to go to school. Why? Because you're a small child and parents are grown up. What do you mean by grown up and small child? Small child only does not see what's going to happen to you after 10 years, after 20 years. So elders, they know that. So because of this, they make sure that you go to school. You getting it? So therefore, somebody who can see things further away in time and space, they are the mature people. Even though age-wise you may be younger, but you are actually more matured. And somebody age-wise much older, but if they cannot think about the broader sense of time and space, they are small in mind. They are not mature in mind. Okay, this is one thing. So therefore, knowing the Dharma so well, you should not be swayed by those people who are non-Dharma. Instead, you should be the one to persuade them to follow Dharma in a skillful way. Okay, so having said this, we're talking about all composite things impermanent. So from this, what we deduce is gross impermanence, subtle impermanence. Gross impermanence, impermanent phenomena whose continuum comes to an end. Example, impermanence of death, and the narrations made by Milarepa and the teachings of the Buddha, they're all on impermanence, they all depict so well and relate your own experience of impermanence in your meditation. Then subtle impermanence. Given that this gross impermanence there is possible only if there is the underscoring the impermanence, underscoring transitoriness or the momentariness involved. So this transitoriness and the momentariness of all the complex phenomena is known as the subtle impermanence. From the subtle impermanence, the message that we get, yes, of course, when you meditate on this, the subtle impermanence, just meditate on this subtle impermanence, then if you're successful meaning that if the conditions are the gathered, conducive conditions are gathered, then within the span of only 1 week or 10 days, you can feel that your body is moving so fast, changing so fast. Whole world, the buildings, the trees, everything around there moves so fast. A tinge of a fear can come in you. Things are moving so fast. And with this meditation, in case, if you feel it's very scary, I want to run away to somewhere else, if this thought comes to you, this is not the real accomplishment of the meditation permanence. You're going into depression. Whereas with this reflection, if the mind that I have to run away, no, there's no way to run. Everywhere, wherever you go in the universe, this transitoriness is a reality. When you get this conviction, you're not going to depression. You need a little bit of support from experienced teachers or practitioners, but you're not going to depression. This is the beginning of this is the dawn. This is the dawn of the true Dharma practice, genuine Dharma practice. Otherwise, what is Dharma practice? Look, out of Dharma practice, you usually like, okay, you come for a retreat. You do, this Dharma, this teaching, this and so forth. And then somebody says, yes, I'm Dharma. Yes, I've been into Dharma now. Right? And what do you do? I attend this retreat, that retreat, this retreat. What do you practice? I practice this meditation. So they're the real, genuine Dharma practitioners. They will never tell you what they're meditating. They will never tell you. And they will never tell you that I'm a Dharma practitioner. They will never tell you that I'm a yogi. Right? If you come across somebody who's saying that I'm a yogi, the person is not a yogi, 100%. I'm not going to mention names. Somebody's there, very, so extremely, they say so many followers. And somebody asks, please introduce yourself. I'm a simple yogi. It's not yogi. Yogis will hide their identity. You're getting it? Okay. So the point is that all composite things are impermanent. So with these reflections, impermanence has this subtle, gross, and with the subtle, you see that it's moving so fast. Moving so fast means it has minimum 3 components. The past, move to present moment, move to the future moment, moving to the future moment. 3 components are there. Minimum 3 components are there. This is the meaning of moving so fast, means moving. Moving means from the past to the present to the future. And this present is the result with respect to the past. Future is the result with respect to the present. So we see that there's a cause and effect relationship involved. So from this understanding of subtle impermanence, this should take us to understand the cause-effect relationship. This cause-effect relationship is known as law of karma. And of course, law of karma and the cause-effect relationship, there are two. There are 2 kinds. Cause-effect relationship, there are 2 kinds. Say, karmic cause-effect relationship and non-karmic cause and effect relationship, there are 2. What is karmic cause and effect relationship? Same, you unnecessarily create problems on somebody else. And in your next lives, unnecessarily, for no reasons, you enter into problems. So much of fear coming in you. So, what you did in the past, there's a cause, and what you experience today, say anxiety, stress, and so forth, these are the results of the karma that we created in the past. So, cause and effect. Cause and effect. So, this is a karmic cause and effect. What is non-karmic cause and effect? Let's say that 이것도 뭐 이렇게 마다 했다. Okay, let's say what is non-karmic cause and effect. Let's say that I'm just sitting like this. I'm just sitting like this, and then I fall asleep. And my hand becomes loose, and the pen falls, and then makes a sound. So, the pen falling and hitting the table, this is the cause, and the sound is produced. This is the result. This has nothing to do with law of karma. It's the non-karmic cause and effect. You're getting it? It's the natural cause and effect. Because, say, whether I'm in sleep, I doze off, and then my hands become loose, and the pen falls, and it hits the table and makes a sound. Or I deliberately make it fall without me falling, the dozing off, it makes a sound. Same sound is made. So it has nothing to do with the karmic cause and effect. What does it mean by karmic cause and effect then? Precisely. Karmic cause and effect is where in the cause the mental factor of intention is involved. Karmic cause and effect is where in the cause and effect, in the cause, mental factor of intention is involved. Then it becomes karmic cause and effect. So for example, then this pen falls and makes a sound. This pen does not have the intention to make a sound. There's no intention involved. So where there's intention involved in the cause, then it becomes karmic cause and effect. Where there's no intention involved. For example, let's say that there's somebody, the mosquitoes, what is that? Flies. The flies, they come and then come on your food, right? And what do? You shoot the fly like this, right? And the fly, and it may hit the fly and the fly falls. Or the fly, what does it do? It flies back. And then again it comes back. You're getting it? Whereas, say, I'm just thinking like this or dozing off, and the plate of food is on my table. It falls, it dirties my food. You're getting it? And then what I do is that I take it out and keep it outside the plate. And it will come back or not? It will not come back. But the flies come back. Right? The flies, you shoot the flies, and after a few seconds again it comes back. Yes? So what makes the difference? This pen doesn't come back. The fly comes back. This pen doesn't have the intention. The fly has the intention to come back. So what involves intention, that cause becomes the karmic cause. And the effect is the karmic effect. What does not have the intention involved, that is a natural cause and effect or non-karmic cause and effect. Okay, so from this what we learn is that now from this subtle impermanence we learn the cause and effect. Within the cause and effect we see that if the cause is involved with the intention, it becomes karmic cause and effect. So intention, there are so many kinds. Contaminated intentions, uncontaminated intentions. Where the cause is influenced by the contaminated intentions, then it becomes karmic and the result is miseries. So the second seal says, all contaminated things are suffering nature. You're getting it? So the cause which involves the intention, contaminated intention will only lead us to miseries. All contaminated things are suffering nature or miseries. Number 2. Then the question, and these miseries, it's so painful to think of these miseries, so painful. And somebody yesterday said poverty. Who's that? Yes, the pain of the poverty. And the pain of losing near and dear ones, the pain of, the illness, sickness, the pain of divorce, the pain of, losing your children, pain of losing your parents, and the pain of losing the startups and your business just shattering. It's so painful, extremely painful. So, when will these pains stop? When will these pains stop? When will these tears stop? This question. When will these stop? Right? Okay. So usually, my mobile, when I'm in meeting, and if I receive a call, and if the call is from, what do you think? I pick up the phone or I pick up the call or not? You think no? Yes?
Depending upon the person who is calling.
Okay, if the person is somebody who I love, I'll pick up.
Important to you.
Wow, he's very positive. Thank you. Okay, so what I do is not about importance. Oh yes, his part is importance. In the middle of the meeting, conferences and so forth, if I receive a call, if the call is from somebody, a school children just graduating class 12, I make sure that I pick up the phone, no matter how busy I am, no matter how important the meeting is, I pick up the phone. For those people who are already in the bachelor's, master's, PhDs, or business or anything, you call the phone and the phone comes at the time I'm in a meeting, I'll not pick up. You're getting it? Because you're already an experienced person. Somebody who's just graduated class 12, right? They're at the crossroad. They're lost actually. So they need help. And if you just ignore this, if you say, yes, you have a very important meeting, and you ignore this, the person doesn't know that you are in a meeting. And the person thinks that you are ignoring. Now the person, there's nobody who can help me. Nobody who's there for me. The person, the young boy, young girl will feel dejected. So there is a time we need to help. It's so delicate, the mind. They're just coming out of the cocoon into the real life, which is not the pleasurable grove. It is very nasty crocodiles, everything is there. So therefore we should protect them, to give them. Let them grow a little bit. Once they're grown, bachelors, masters, then I'll not pick up the phone. You are self-sufficient. Okay. So there, let's say that all composite things are impermanent. All contaminant things are the suffering nature. Next question is there an end to these problems? Is there a problem? Keep in mind that some people, they lost hope. But now each one of us, we came in contact with the Nalanda tradition. Teachings of the great Buddha, further explained by the great Nalanda masters, said that no, never ever give up. You have the Buddha nature within you. You have the best of the seed of perfection within you. Why should you have to give up? Giving up, this is the greatest of failure. Nobody can fail you. Only you can fail yourself. When you give up, that's the greatest failure. If you don't give up, nobody can fail you. Nobody can fail you. Because you have the seed of perfection which made the Buddha being revered by the whole world. Which made His Holiness the Dalai Lama being loved and respected by the whole world. And the same seed is within you. Why should you have to give up? Coming in contact with Nalanda tradition, we must gain this conviction. I shall not give up no matter what situation that I'm in. I never give up. There's always a way out. Technically speaking, what is the way out? That just check the cause of the problem. Cause of the problem lies in the ignorance. And how to remove the ignorance? By lighting the lamp of the wisdom. You getting it? What is the wisdom? Wisdom is the discerning mind whose apprehension to object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? The third seal. What's the third seal? All phenomena are of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. This is reality. Everything's nature, emptiness, selflessness. You know this, you channel the wisdom. You channel the wisdom, you are liberated from all the fears. Your fear comes to an end. Till that point, your fears will never stop. Till that point, your fears will never stop. So impermanence, all composite things are impermanent. When we speak about impermanence, we talk about two levels of impermanence, which are very standard expositions. But we can also explain impermanence in three categories. There are so many ways of classifying say impermanence. Another way of classifying impermanence is into three. Impermanent phenomena whose continuum will never come to an end, number one. Number two, impermanent phenomena whose continuum invariably comes to an end, number two. Let me repeat it. Impermanent phenomena whose continuum never comes to an end, no matter what you do, whose continuum will never come to an end, number one. Number two, impermanent phenomena whose continuum will invariably come to an end, number two. No matter what you do to stop this impermanent, they say continue this phenomena, it'll invariably come to an end, number two. Number three, impermanent phenomena whose continuum will come to an end only if you put effort to stop it. Otherwise, it will perpetuate endlessly. Let me repeat it. Impermanent phenomena whose continuum will come to an end only with concerted effort. Only with concerted effort to bring an end to it. Otherwise, will perpetuate endlessly. Let me give examples to each one of these. The first one. What is the first one? Whose continuum never comes to an end. For example, like your mind, yourself, the person, the time, and also according to the physics, say the matter and the energy, they will never come to an end. They're impermanent, but never come to an end. Your mind is impermanent, but never come to an end. Yourself is impermanent, but will never come to an end. Time is impermanent, will never come to an end. Verse second. Whose continuum will invariably come to an end. For example, your youth. 2022. The wealth, the birth comes to an end with the death. Accumulation comes to an end with the exhaustion. Right? So all the changes that we see around. How many of you, when you, in your life, when you come across some drastic changes happened, suddenly a feeling of sadness comes to you? Raise hands. How many had that experience? Okay, good. When these things happen, these experiences, when they emotionally, you're being emotionally affected, these realities that you discover and then emotionally affected, like you feel sad, scared, these things you must bring into your meditation. Finally, meditation is for your transformation of your emotions and what you've experienced in real life with the drastic change in emotions. This must be brought into meditation. I remember, for example, let's say that one time I travel a lot and I need the bag, and I know there's one place there, the Samsonite bag, the shop, and one time I went there. In Delhi, I went there. It is nowhere to be seen. I already reached there, that place, spot, and that shop is gone. Maybe there's no business, so they shut down the shop. And Samsonite is a very acclaimed company. It's a very stable company. Even a stable company cannot be reliable. The shop closed, it shut down. Sense of impermanence came to me very strongly. So these feelings that come to you, bring them into meditation. For example, in Cambridge, last year when I was there, the first time I was there was in 2003, and my host, a group of people over there, particularly there are two, others are there to support. They were my host, and my third visit last year. One of the main hosts, the gentleman, he passed away, and the wife took me to the graveyard. And seeing this, within a span of like 16 years, I saw this. I could see the person so vividly in my eyes, extremely practical person, very compassionate person, and now it's gone. Just the, what do you call it? Nameplate is there, and underneath is the bones are there. I'll just reflect on this. So, in one day, right? Say let's say after 100 years, not even a single person here will be left then, that's for sure. After 100 years, somebody who is like 22, if there's one by then will be like 122. 122, I don't think somebody can survive that long. So what I'm saying is that this impermanence. Okay. Reflect on this. So whatever experience that we get, we have to bring them in your meditation. So with this, the impermanence, three kinds. One, whose continuum is eternally long. And number two, invariably the continuum stops, like 2022, gone. And anything which existed once and disappeared, you have to remember the impermanence. Then number three. What's number three? The impermanent phenomena whose continuum will come to an end only with a concerted effort. Only with an effort to bring an end, otherwise will never end. It will just perpetuate. Okay. What examples do we have? Our miseries, our tears, our miseries, our pains. This will never stop. It's not about, this is Buddhist teaching. Oh, lucky I'm not a Buddhist. So therefore, I'm free of this. Okay, but for you Buddhists, there's the pain, suffering. If you don't put effort, it'll continue. Lucky I'm not a Buddhist. This is a small child's thinking, Whether you're Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. This is reality. You're getting it? COVID came from where? China. China is a Buddhist country, communism. I'm lucky I'm not a communist. So no, COVID it's from the communist country. So I'm not communist, lucky. No, whether you're communist or not, it doesn't matter. COVID doesn't know that you're communist or not communist. It means everybody. So likewise, this is the reality which holds true across the board of the sentient beings. This is reality which holds true for everyone, all sentient beings. So therefore, the thing is that your suffering, your tears, the pains that we go through, the sadness, acute sadness, when will they stop? They will never stop until we put concerted effort. What kind of effort? Concerted, well thought effort. Like what? So concerted effort is considered a well thought effort is determined by what the Buddha taught. Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All these tears and the pains, they don't arise randomly. They arise from their causes. Ye dharma, these phenomena of the pains, tears, anxiety, stress, these arise from their respective causes. Hetu prabhava, hetu, cause. They arise from the causes. So if you don't want these, know how to stop the causes. This is truth of suffering to be understood or to be identified. Truth of the cause of suffering is to be abandoned. If you don't want the suffering, abandon the cause of suffering. So, If you want to stop these tears, if you want to stop these pains, sadness, then we learn how to stop the causes of these pains, cause of this suffering. So what are the causes of this suffering? Finally, it is the ignorance. Last time we learned about the contaminated karmas, afflictions, inappropriate tension, self-grasping, ignorance. These are the causes, right? So if you don't want the miseries, you have to stop the contaminated karmas. If you don't want the contaminated karmas, you have to stop the afflictions. If you don't want the afflictions, you have to stop the inappropriate tension. If you don't want the inappropriate tension, you have to stop the self-grasping ignorance. If you want to stop the ignorance, if you don't want self-grasping, what should you do? Wake up from the sleep of ignorance by cultivating the wisdom. You're getting it? So what is the wisdom? Okay, now, wow, that's amazing. There's a solution there to all my tears, to all my problems. There's a solution, right? There's a solution there. And how long will the solution take to resolve my problems? How many months? How many days? It may take several lifetimes. Oh, several lifetimes, then when will I see this? Then if if it's not that visible, foreseeable, then is a so like is wisdom. This is childish. How long it takes, it doesn't matter. Your problem should come to an end. Your tears should come to an end. And if it takes let's say 5 lifetimes, in this life you will not happen, no, very, very unlikely. Then what's the point? It's your choice. If you want only things to happen only in this life, and then you don't care after this, then there are two choices. Tears for 5 lifetimes and tears eternally long. Choose the two. Right? So the wise people will look for, however long, it doesn't matter. Somehow it has to come to an end. I don't want to let it go, I don't want to let it perpetuate. I don't want to let it happen endlessly many. Right? Somehow I must bring an end to it. Even if it takes 100 lifetimes, I will do it. I'll wait. I will somehow consider effort over the next 100 lifetimes to stop it. If it takes 5 lifetimes, I will do it to stop it. And if you're very serious, if you're really, really, really very serious, with all the conditions factors intact, then within this single lifetime, you can bring an end to all the tears. So this is also a possibility. So what is that? They cultivate the wisdom. So what is that wisdom? Wisdom is the discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? The third seal. Everything is the nature of emptiness, selflessness. Wow, that's amazing. Finally, I saw the solution to my problems. So how is this a solution? That everything is the nature of emptiness, selflessness. If you know this, if you have the wisdom to know this, how is this a solution? This question. Okay, quickly. Let's say that, how many in your dream you had nightmare, very scary dreams in your life? Raise hands. How many you never had scary dreams in your life? Raise hands. Huh? That's amazing. You never had? Oh, that's interesting. Scary moments in your life?
Yes, many.
Many. Okay, let's say scary dreams in your life. Let's say scary dreams in your life. And then when did this scary dream stop? When you wake up. When you wake up. You're getting it? My question to you, all of you, particularly the experts, right? Those who are in NMC, NSC 1, 2, 3, 4. So particularly those who are newcomers, my question to you is, how did it help you when you wake up? How did it help you to be freed from the fears and the fears of the dream? How did it help you? Anyone? Here.
Because it makes me realize that the dream is not true.
It makes me realize that the dream is not true. Okay. How many agree with the Jigmela? How many agree with Jigmela every sense? Okay, you all agree. Which means that the dream is not real. The dream is not real. And in the dream, you see dream as real or not real? You see dream as real. So seeing the dream as real is ignorance or wisdom? Hey, louder. Ignorance. And outcome of this ignorance is the fear in the dream. Can you correlate the two? Seeing the dream as real is the ignorance and the outcome is fear in the dream. Yes, you can correlate that? Good. When you wake up, you see the dream as not real. Dream as dream. Seeing the dream as dream is ignorance or wisdom? Wisdom. When the wisdom was outcome, the fear dissolves. You're getting it? Fearlessness. So ignorance gives rise to fears. The wisdom gives rise to the fearlessness. You must be convinced. Once you're convinced, then the next is, tell me. Say, how does it help you? When you wake up, your fears dissolve. What is the more clear mechanism? How Jigmel explained is very good. And can you explain a little more? Say, how does it help you? Anyone? Waking up, how does it help to remove your fears? Okay, so if you, more than what Jigmel has said, I have no answer. If this is your impression, don't worry. Let me give you another example. Say that, oh, today the weather is so good. Weather is so good. And you're all dreaming. You're all dreaming. And then in the dream, you said that today the weather is so good. Yesterday it was heavily raining cats and dogs. And today is so beautiful. When it was Samala, can we have some party today? Right? When Samala said, yes, of course, it's a beautiful day today. Right? Party today. Right? Picnic today. You are excited, you're happy, not happy? Very happy. But you're in a dream, don't forget it. You are very happy. And the next moment, suddenly there's a thunderstorm and the rain, heavy rain, and alongside accompanied by the earthquake. Recently there was earthquake, right? Recently there was the earthquake. Magnitude 9.5. Okay, then what? Oh no. Then the building collapsing on you. I'm dead. When he said, I'm dead, right? When you said, I'm dead, when someone comes, hey, what are you doing? It's morning already, 8 o'clock. Time for the morning practice is done. You're still sleeping. It's time for breakfast. Wake up. Are you happy or not happy? Very happy. So 3 moments. The first, picnicking, beautiful day, dream. Second, 9.5 magnitude earthquake with a heavy shower. So much fear. And the fear of dying. Number 3, when someone tells you, hey, you're not going to come for the retreat. Hey, right? It's breakfast time. Right? Wow. Okay, of the 3 moments, which do you like the most? Number 3. How many agree with this? Number 3. Raise hands. Good. Number 3. Now, tell me, what's the problem with number 1? Number 2, you don't like it. Nobody likes it. Number 1, just if I give you the first thing, just the first, the scenario, you'll be very happy. But then now, when you give her the complete picture, 1, 2, 3, you're not too happy. What's the problem with number 1? Tell me.
It's actually completely subjective and you're mistaking it for being objectively real.
Okay, is pure subjective and you mistake it to be objectively real, right? Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
We are still in ignorance.
Okay, these all, keep it in mind, they're all experts. You know? NDC 3, 4, NMC 2, here,
NMC2.
NMC 2, these experts people, you know. So those people who are new, the answers are so good, right? So you should come with the answers. The newcomers, you have to come with the answers. Raise your hands. What's the problem with the first dream? Okay. Anyone?
It was a dream. That was the problem.
It was a dream. What's the problem with the dreams? Some dreams are nice.
Yeah, but it was not real.
It's not real, so what's the problem? So we go to watch a movie. Movie is not real, still we enjoy it.
But you are not awake.
Huh?
You are not aware.
In the dream you become emotional. You are in the dream, you're watching a movie.
We were perceiving it as reality, that's the problem. It was not real actually. But we think it was real. We were thinking.
Okay, it's not real. So what?
The problem is this is
Your name.
Roshni.
What Roshni said, what people are saying, it's not real. And so you see it is real, that's the problem. So what's the problem? If it's not real and you say it's real, what's the problem? You deliberately go to watch movies, right? Movies not real, you know that. And then you become so emotional. Right? You enjoy it. What's wrong with it? Anyone?
Both the dreams in the dream, it results into a fiction, attachment and aversion. So that is the problem.
Okay, so there's attachment. What's the problem with the attachment aversion here? I say, for example, some people are so expert. Alcohol, people who drink alcohol, some of them, they have moderation is amazing. They take the first shot. Right? You give the second shot, you say, no, I'm done, thank you. What's wrong with this? You enjoy the first shot and don't go to the second and third. What's wrong? Are you attached to the first shot? What's wrong? Quick, anyone? Okay, yes or there?
We exaggerate the quality of God.
Okay, if you don't exaggerate, it's fine. You exaggerate a little bit, for example, the first shot, exaggerate a little bit, and you stop there. What's the problem? The girl over there? No? Pavasala?
Kishore, comparing to the other two situations, in the first situation, we are not able to see like what will be going to be in the future. That problem are going to exist. Like,
So in the first case, in the first dream, you are being blurred from having the vision of what's going to happen in the future. You cannot see the future. That's the problem. Anyone else? Yes, over there.
I think it's related with, yesterday we just discussed about the 3 types of suffering. And the second type of suffering was the suffering of change. And it was related with pleasurable feeling. Because the pleasurable feeling isn't going to last, that's why pleasure itself is a cause of suffering. So right now, if you are seeing a good dream, so eventually it's not true, it's going to change. It's going to bring you to a sadness feeling. That's why that pleasurable dream itself is a suffering.
So Jimala, don't forget the first shot. Who knows moderation? Right? Who do not know the moderation is a problem. First shot, we'll go to the second shot, we'll go to the third shot, and then end up in ditch. So just stay there, first shot and stay there. What's wrong? Okay. I will say, ask you one question to make things clearer. There are so many things which are common between the first two dreams. First, picnicking. Second, the severe earthquake. 2 dreams. There are so many things which are common between the two. What are the common things between these 2 dreams? Anyone? There are so many common things. Not that there's a fixed answer. Raise hands, raise hands, raise hands. Yes, Bitullah?
No control over it.
No control. She's expert. She's from NMC 1, 2? 2. Anyone else? Yes?
Both are unreal.
Both are not real. Very good. Tapala. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes. Young brother, expert. Another expert.
Lack of freedom.
Lack of freedom. Yes. These are all expert answers.
But they both create an emotion in
They both create emotions within us. And you like the emotions, not emotion. You don't like it.
First one, I guess, but no.
First one is good.
Perversive conditioned.
There is the attribute of the pervasive conditioning. Pervasive conditioning, what is meant by that? Is also expert answers. Anyone else?
They are the outcome of ignorance.
The outcome of ignorance.
Fear.
Okay. But in the first case, there is no fear. Anyone else? Yes.
Both are in the nature of impermanence, both will end.
Both are related, both are impermanent. Both are impermanent. They both will come to an end.
Yeah.
Good. Anyone else?
And they're both mental imputation.
Both are mental imputations. Pavasla?
Both of them objective between.
In both cases, you see things so object real. Anyone else? There are so many commonalities.
Your happiness is dependent upon both situations. Whether it's earthquake, then you're not happy, but if it's a picnic, then you're happy.
So it is dependent on the shot. First shot was the problem.
You're putting at least a bit of your happiness in the taking of the first shot, no?
Yes. So what's the problem?
You're relying on external things for your
So what's the problem if you rely on the external?
That it's temporary.
Huh?
It's temporary.
It doesn't matter. I know it's temporary. Still, the person enjoys the first shot and stop there. Okay.
You're still in samsara? No.
Don't be too boring. You know? Don't make it too boring. Don't learn samsara. You know? What's the problem? What's the problem? Do you agree with me that, okay, how many of you actually tell me, be very honest, how many of you would really, enjoy the first dream, in a sense? Be very honest. Enjoy the first dream, picnicking. Good. It's a nice dream. How many of you like to have this dream tonight? How many of you like to have this dream tonight instead of scary dreams? Raise hands. Good. How many of you will have this dream tonight? Raise hands. No one. Why not? The girls over there, why not? Why don't you have this dream tonight? It's a very pleasant dream.
No control.
No control. You getting it? How many agree with this? What's your name? This kid. How many agree with this kid like his friends? No, I cannot control this dream, What dream I will have? I have no control. So however pleasant the dream is, one of the attributes is that you do not have the control. You don't have the freedom to choose this dream. You agree? Lack of freedom is there. Lack of freedom is misery. Misery is samsara. You don't just into samsara. Don't just jump into samsara directly. You're getting it? First, let's talk about there's lack of freedom to choose a dream. Number one. Lack of freedom to choose a dream is misery. Misery is samsara. You getting it? Okay. How many of you, when you were, in the olden times, when you were watching television with your, or even today, watching television with your little brother or little daughter, little brother, the same, who's very little, age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and always watching the cartoon. You are not interested in watching the cartoon, and the remote control. You want to give the remote control in your hand or to your young brother's hand? Remote control. In your hand. Why? Professor? Why?
So that I can control what I'm seeing.
So that I can control. Whereas if it's in the hands of the little boy, then he'll always watch the cartoon, and which I don't have the control. If the control is in his hand, I don't have control. So when I don't have control, I have to always sit there with the cartoon I'm not interested in. So you are miserable. Misery is suffering. So what is suffering? The real meaning of suffering is lack of freedom. And lack of freedom can vary from 0.1% to 9900%. It can vary. Lack of freedom is suffering. For example, let's say poverty. Poverty is a suffering. And what is suffering is lack of freedom. I want to be rich. I don't want to suffer poverty, but I don't have the freedom not to suffer poverty. I don't have the freedom not to suffer poverty. You getting it? So even suffering with the poverty is also lack of freedom. What are we suffering? Anyone? Quick. Let's see that. The suffering means lack of freedom. Quick. Anyone? Last time we identified some suffering. War. I don't want war, but I don't have the freedom not to have the war. You getting it? Anything else? Natural disasters like earthquake. I simply can't tolerate the fear of the earthquake, yet I don't have the freedom to choose not to have this earthquake. So we see that all sufferings, they are in the form of lack of freedom. The moment the lack of freedom is gone, no matter what external factors you encounter with, you are not affected. That is the freedom. Okay, we'll stop here. So now we have only about 34 minutes for group discussion, tea break. We can adjust tea break, yeah? Or if you want to have group discussions, very short group discussions. Om Gati Gati